Okay, so hello everyone once again. Today we will be talking about upgrading your Scaleup from using Spreadsheets to data platform. And firstly, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Adrian Dembek, and I'm a data science practice lead at GetInData. Mainly, I actively participate in projects where we solve problems using data analysis and machine learning. I'm also responsible for collecting requirements from our clients and based on that, advising data solutions.
And I'm Michał Soszko, an analytics engineer at GetInData. In data project, my role stands as bridge between data engineers and data analysts, supporting both sides by developing and maintaining high quality data pipelines. I'm super excited to conduct this webinar along with Adrian. And hello, everyone.
Yeah, firstly, I just want to say that during the webinar, you can ask questions in the chat. We will answer all of them during a Q&A session at the end. And as Claudia said, this is the first webinar of the Building a Data-Driven Company series. During this series, we will show you a step-by-step process how to extract more value from your data. You will find solutions to the most common challenges on the way. For example, what data should I save and how? What business intelligence tool should I choose? What skills do I need and how to find them? How to develop ideas for data use cases? What is self-service? Do I really need that? How hard is it to start using machine learning? And last but not least, how to make sure that I seamlessly deploy new machine learning models. And every company, regardless of the industry, needs data in order to function, and they can choose different journeys when it comes to utilizing its potential. More and more data sources are available. A few examples could be website clickstream, payments, ads impressions and clicks, or interactions with your call center. In any case, data, regardless of the type, must be collected, processed, interpreted, and finally reported. Data utilization may be limited, for example, to tax reports, or on the other hand, may be the subject of advanced customer analytics, which could enhance the quality of the product and increase market penetration.
The journey between spreadsheets and a data platform is not a simple matter of choosing a tool. On the contrary, it depends on a deep awareness of analytical needs and the choice of an analytical strategy. So let's see real examples of two companies which at some point made their decision concerning data strategy.
Yeah, the first one is a UK-based food tech, a cloud kitchen startup aspiring to become a global company. And the challenge for them was, even though they have scaled up substantially, all of their decision-making data was stored, processed, and reported using Excel, and it caused major problems, like manual time-consuming data processing, lots of errors in data. It was taking a long time to produce reports, and multiple ad hoc analysis requests from managers. And there was a scatter and decentralized business intelligence. So their goal was to automate the process and scale analytical capabilities. And they made a strategic decision to move substantial part of the process to Google Cloud Platform.
And the second example is the case of Volt. Volt is aspiring to be first global online payment network powered by open banking. And as the company expects to grow rapidly, it was aware of the challenges posed by such an endeavor. They knew their analytics should be fast, efficient, and above all, reliable. Using a multitude of data sources, they had to ensure that they did not violate any security standards such as GDPR, while still having the ability to continuously develop and scale their services. So at the same time, they wanted their analytics to be self-service and ready for ad hoc analysis, KPI reporting, or business intelligence. So their strategic decision was to invest in a large modern data platform project. So, okay, we have an example of two different approaches to building an analytical system. We will talk about the outcomes of both projects at the end of the webinar, but for now, we will focus on tools themselves, that is Kcell and the data platform. So we will start with Kcell. Adrian?
Yeah, so why companies are still using Kcell? Many businesses continue to do that for data processing, data analysis, and reporting, and will do so for the foreseeable future. So firstly, let's pay some tribute to this excellent tool and summarize its main advantages. Predominantly, it is a widely known and accessible tool, so every analyst understands how to use Kcell. It's highly flexible and easily customizable. You can perform any data transformation there, and almost every enterprise application allows CSV imports and exports from Kcell. And it's perfect for quick and simple data analysis using pivot tables and charts, which provides quick insights to business. And it has self-service capabilities. Managers also can analyze data on their own. But Kcell also have some major limitations. Personally, when I used to use Kcell for my daily analysis, it was a love-hate relationship. I was impressed by its flexibility, but at the same time, I was getting furious about its lack of stability and scalability. We will cover more of such disadvantages later on in comparison to modern data platform capabilities.
Okay, now let's see what modern data platform is and how it can replace analysis and reporting tasks done currently in Kcell. So a data platform, by definition, is a collection of different tools that allows an organization to manage their data end-to-end. This includes all the crucial technical aspects of the data lifecycle, like extracting data from the source, loading it to a data warehouse, transforming into an analysis-ready form, and finally, generating reports. The term modern will have a special meaning in this context. A modern data platform will use tools that run on the cloud. These tools are integrated in a way that allows users of the platform to efficiently work with data, making this data accessible and understandable for a broad range of data consumers. By data consumers, I mean not only data engineers or data analysts who actually work with data directly, but also business users and stakeholders who use data for decision-making. A modern data platform is a comprehensive solution with many possibilities, but what is important from today's webinar perspective is that it is no longer as easy for non-technical users to get started. This is because each of the tools that will be part of the platform usually has its own way of usage, has its own API, template libraries, syntax, and so on. So that is why it is very important to include integration and automation according to the best engineering practices. A set of loosely coupled tools is just a stack, but the way these tools are systematically used in cooperation makes it a platform. So, for example, the end user of the platform should not be forced to intervene in the configuration of every data lifecycle step. Of course, if they do not want to. In a few moments, you will see what a modern data platform can look like. We will present a few snapshots of using the MDP developed by GetInData. And just for your information, while developing the platform, the main goal was to make SQL, which is structured query language, proficiency and command line awareness, the only significant requirements for working with the platform in terms of coding. But don't worry, SQL is the most popular programming language when it comes to data processing. And there are many specialists that can work with it, and it is easy to learn. All other aspects which are crucial from the perspective of a functioning data ecosystem, such as data ingestion processes, code integration, or data pipeline execution, are kept isolated from the user. So the user can focus on creating data transformations. He can focus on verifying data quality, maintaining up-to-date documentation, and generating reports. Okay, I've talked a bit. Now it's time to pass the floor to Adrian.
Okay, so we will demonstrate a few examples how a typical workflow can look like both when our tool of choice is Kcell and when we have implemented a modern data platform. To do this, we will use a very simplified scenario in which a retail company receives reports on purchase transactions and marketing campaigns from an external service provider. Yes, it's a big simplification, but it should be okay for our purposes. The data is provided in a form of weekly reports. The data team receives CSV files with last week product catalog, marketing campaigns, customer data, and their transactions. In this scenario, the weekly data chunks are not huge and can fit into Excel files. Let's take a look at how we deal with some specific problems using Kcell and modern data platform in this case. So when it comes to acquiring data to conduct an analysis in Kcell, a scenario when you receive an email with a snapshot of data and need to save it somewhere to your private or shared directory is quite popular. Obviously, each one of you can see problems with such processes. Some data may be lost. If a person forgets to name it properly, others cannot find the right file. After some time, missing data problems may occur. There may be also a security issue. Sending files via email is not the best way to share confidential data with others. There is also a more advanced version when you can connect your Kcell to an external data source. However, from my experience, if source table is quite big, there were major performance issues. So now let's see how modern data platform handles acquiring source data.
Okay, in MDP, modern data platform, one of the options for integrating external data is to use data ingestion tool. In our case, we will use Terabyte. It is open source, mature, and it is continuously being developed by its creators and the community. So I will switch to our data platform, which is right over here. Assuming we have access to the database where the external service provider collects data for us, our data team could create a connection between the source instance and our data warehouse where we store and process our data. So we will add destination. And in this case, our data warehouse is Google BigQuery. Both instances connectors would be configured during the platform setup. So the user's role would be to determine the name of the connection. Let's name it Postgres query, and determine how the source and target instances should be synchronized in terms of format or the frequency. The user can also, for example, decide what kind of tables should be included in the ingestion stream, and so on. For example, this setup connection. So what I've done here was setting up a connection between Postgres instance and the BigQuery data warehouse, and it was set as a manual run. So if I press this launch button, the synchronization will start and the data will be transferred from the Postgres to BigQuery. Okay, now let's see what about transforming our newly imported data to the shape we need for reporting. And for that, I will switch back to our presentation and we'll pass the microphone to Adrian.
So there are dozens of different types of transformations that you can perform in Excel. So you can write formulas in cells, create pivot tables with aggregations, filter tables, manually delete selected rows and columns, modify data cells. So as you can see, it can literally create a mess where in the end, after copying, pasting, and modifying chunks of data, another person could not have a clue on what was done there and where does these results come from. Not to mention possible Excel crashing during your process. So how many times you had to redo the analysis from the beginning. Excel badly handles even mid-sized data, not to mention big data. So the risk of failing increases with the data size and complexity of transformations.
Okay, now in MDP, preparing data for creating reports through aggregation, standardization, incorporating formulas is done not on a local computer, but by using a virtual machine running on the cloud. The platform has a workbench where the user creates their own notebook, and the notebook is equipped with the tools needed to work with data by default. So there is no need of installing anything. Just to show you, I will enter my notebook created for this webinar. Okay, I'll go back here. It's on Vertex AI. And it's here. I'll just click a link for that. And my data transformation project, yeah, it's already there. And this is the moment where SQL proficiency will be essential. Thanks to an excellent framework, which is called DBT, the platform user can create data transformation pipeline only by writing SQL queries like this one here. This very simple example where we create new DBT model by joining source table with some date mapping model is the perfect example for that. So if we execute this model, DBT will send this, it will compile the code, send it to data warehouse, and receive information about whether it was successful or not. In this case, it was. So as users, we can create models, but also we can check their or study the graphical lineage of the tables and views that we have already created within the DBT project. And this will, not this. I wanted to show you something a bit simpler. This is the table I was talking about. And this is particularly helpful because we know how the table has been created. And it is even more helpful when the project grows larger, like the one which I shown you at the first place. Yes. So we can, for example, track down how we created KPI or daily table or something like that. So if what is very important, if we go back here, from now on, is that the output of our work is a code, SQL code particularly, and any new lines of code or any changes in the code will be tracked down by the version control system, which is also implemented here. So if we, for example, add something very silly here, like my new call, the version control system will instantly catch that, and will await. It will await for our decision whether we want to store the change as a part of our project or not. We can withdraw, we can commit to our project. This not only provides access to the history of changes in the data transformation project, but also if we move to our GitLab, which is our version control system, but also it will enable effective collaboration in multi-person team. Yes, for example, we can track commits, who has done what. Yep. And there are no several dozens of versions of the same file scattered among different folders. The superior version is always the one located in the main repository. So now we have our transformation prepared, version has been tracked, and there is still one extremely important thing to be aware of, and that is data quality. I will go back to presentation and ask Adrian to proceed.
Yeah, so keeping the quality of data spread across dozens of Excel files and tabs is nearly impossible due to various reasons. And for example, it's very easy to make an error in calculations. Moving information manually invites costly errors. Each analyst may use different definitions in their reports. It's difficult to find cell with wrong formula. And Excel files are modified in different ways by different people with different skill sets until they reach the final version. And even when you send it via email, somebody may correct calculations.
Yeah. Now back to MDP. And as I mentioned, we have DBT there, which is a very powerful framework where knowledge of SQL alone is enough to create data pipelines. But it has another very important feature. It enables the implementation of tests on the created data models. So I will switch back to our project. I will close this one. And I will open some meta config for one of my models here. And by default, DBT comes equipped with a series of test types beginning from the simplest ones, such as data uniqueness test or the test for presence of empty entries like null values, to more complex relational tests or more complex logic tests. And naturally, it allows also a user to define his own tests in the form of SQL code. And the user, in that case, user has full freedom to specify what kind of assumption regarding data he wants to verify. And all tests published in the DBT project, well, not published in the DBT project, but implemented in the DBT project, but published to the repository, will be executed automatically during scheduled pipeline run. and the results will be recorded and stored in data catalog. We will move to data catalog just to see what actually it is. Okay, so what is data catalog? Data catalog is a separate tool that in our modern data platform serves as the main source of knowledge about our data. Thanks to the fact that it is synchronized with the code repository, the state of the data catalog is always up to date. So in general, data catalogs, which we actually use Data Hub, they usually have rich metadata grouping and categorization functionalities, as well as some strong search capabilities, which makes it the first place where the user will find both technical and business information about the data. I mean, we have glossaries, domains, we have search bar, everything like that. So, for example, here if we check one of our DBT models, for example, this DM transactions, we will see that it has been recently run, and all tests that were executed during this run has passed. Yes, we can preview when was it run, and so on. Also, we have direct information about schema, description, documentation, properties, and even the lineage. Okay, in this case, all tests have passed, and so our data quality has been verified. Now, let's move to the final stage of this data lifecycle, which is reporting. We're going back to the presentation and move on.
Yeah, so coming back to Excel example, when we have processed the data and checked its quality, we can prepare a report. And everyone who is familiar with such kind of reports, Excel has quite a nice selection of visualizations. They are quite simple to prepare once, but later on, when you refresh them, when new data comes in, you need to spend some time to adjust them. Also, there is a problem with scalability again. Have you ever tried to do a scatter plot using thousands of data points? So then Excel can easily crash. Another drawback is that these reports are distributed all over your organization. So hundreds of files stored in different folders, emails, or cloud directories with version 1 or final indicators in the name. So this can get really messy again.
And back to MDP. Reporting in MDP is done using modern business intelligence analysis and data visualization tools. In our example, we have a basic and simple tool called Looker Studio. This name is outdated. It used to be Data Studio in the past. And this one is free to use as a part of BigQuery. Often is sufficient for basic reporting needs, but however, there is nothing to stop us from using other BI tools like Looker, Power BI, Tableau, and any other similar tool. So let's go back to our MDP. Okay, we are at Data Hub. Let's check glossary for our report. In glossary, well, depending on our company, our glossary can be very, very, very advanced. Here is the just simple example. We will choose some general report, click the link. All right. So this is just an example of some business intelligence report. And in order to start building our reports, all we need to do is to connect our transform data using, for example, data mart dataset we have prepared before the webinar. We can connect it with, well, that we can connect it internally with our visualization tool and proceed with creating a report. So in such a report, we can define our own metrics. We can even join all the tables presented in data marts, etc. Of course, the specifics of working with interactive dashboards or visualizations depend on the type of software we use, but we are no longer limited by the volume of data we have to work with, because usually every calculations are done on the data warehouse. So this means that the image of the data, let's click somewhere, oh, maybe RFM k-means analysis. This means that the image of the data is not only complete, but also is always up to date. That is because the source tables are updated with incoming data during the pipeline run. So any new records are noticed and they are included in the report as well. So if we refresh data after the scheduled pipeline run, and by the way, this refreshing is usually done automatically, our reports will be updated with new incoming data by default. All right, so we demonstrate a couple of examples of how modern data platform and Kcell can work out some of the main data lifecycles aspects. Now, let's find out what should you take into consideration while making decisions about investing in modern data platform. So let's go back again.
So moving to modern data platform obviously requires some effort. There are a few steps that you should take to get to the point where you have your data well structured and your analytics and reported automated. The first one is to assess your business needs when it comes to analytics and reporting. Secondly, you need a roadmap with a plan to follow. You need to decide which tools will meet your requirements. We always recommend technology stack customized to your unique requirements. Then you can start implementing the platform. And in the meantime, plan and gradually move data processing pipelines to the platform. And don't forget to upskill your team with SQL knowledge. And of course, as GetInData, we can help you with each step of the journey if you have not started yet or see some space for improvement. So let's get back to these client stories we presented at the beginning of the webinar and see how they ended. The first project for the UK-based food tech, data and analytics migration to cloud, was successfully completed. So in just 6 months, we replaced manual error-prone data processes with automated pipelines, built a repository with complete historical data instead of a single storage lacking backup, enabled faster, more effortless access to data, and applied standardized logic for metrics managed in code instead of being scattered across multiple teams and experts. So if you want to read more, in the chat, you can find the link to the blog post summarizing the project.
Okay, and in case of Vault, it took 4 months to build an up and running data platform. And some of the components of this platform you could already see today. The decision to invest resources in a modern data platform project has paid off. They met all security requirements, and thanks to the cloud, the solution is ready to scale as the company grows. Now, Vault is able to use a MDP that provides performance indicator dashboards, self-service BI tool, and ad hoc analytics capabilities. And moreover, in the near future, they will consider machine learning and MLOps extensions as well. So again, if you're interested in more information, you can check our blog post focused on the Vault success story, which is available on our website. The link will be posted on chat as well.
Yeah, so there are 3 slides left until Q&A. This is when it comes to the main part. This is it when it comes to the main part of the webinar. If you are interested in the possibility of implementing a modern data platform at your organization or have any other questions related to data, machine learning, or MLOps, feel free to contact us at hello@getindata.com.
And we also strongly encourage you to visit our knowledge base and the blog on the GetInData website. Well, both places, it's a place where we gather our experience, success stories, and various data initiatives conducted by dozens of our colleagues and partners. You will also find articles and topics we talked about today. For starters, I would like to really recommend you the attention to these 2 articles you can actually see on the screen. The link for both of them will be posted as on chat as well.
Yeah, and the last one, here's the last recommendation from the machine learning field. Our colleague Michał Stawikowski has recently published a guide to recommendation systems where he describes how such systems work and how to measure their performance according to business requirements. So, and you can download the white paper for free using the QR code or the link in the chat. Yeah, now
okay.
it's time for...
Yeah, so I'm going to say that. And thanks for listening to us. I think now it's time for us to listen to you. We have some time for a short Q&A session. If you have any questions about MDP, you have some considerations or loose thoughts, please do not hesitate, share them with us. We'll gladly hear and discuss things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there was a question in the chat from Ali. Do you have any data validation or pre-processing on Excel files? So if I understand correctly, you mean that during the importing some data from Excel or CSV files to the modern data platform, if we can conduct any data validation. And yeah, the answer is yes. As I remember well, that was exactly done for this food tech company, because they received lots of Excel files and CSV files from their from some other providers, and these Excel files were validated and pre-processed and then loaded to BigQuery, where they built a full history of the data, and it was cleaned and well structured and could be used later on for some other processing task or reporting. So I hope I answered the question.
On the other hand, in modern data platform, we could also have a validation and pre-processing for Excel files, because Airbyte allows us to ingest data from Excel and CSV files directly to data warehouse. That doesn't have to be in Postgres or any other database instance. And Airbyte itself is equipped with dbt. So it's kind of, we have 2 dbt instances, in this case, our own and the Airbyte one. So Airbyte can actually do the pre-processing and validation on these Excel files by its own. So yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, we can
Yeah, so
Next
we can.
slide. Yeah, it's just last but not least, follow us on LinkedIn. Not to miss the second episode of the Building a Data-Driven Company series. And that's it for today. We want to thank you for your participation. It would be extremely helpful if you could leave your feedback about the webinar. You can find the link in the chat. Claudia has just sent it.
Yeah, thank you very much and see you around.